welcome to episode number 61 of the Knitting Teaspoon podcast. I'm Liesbeth, your host, and this is a podcast which is all about knitting, spinning, sewing, crochet, weaving, basically all of the fiber crafts that I feel like. And this is a little bit of a different riddle than I usually say, but you will get why in a minute. So, hello, welcome back if you are a long-term viewer, and welcome to this podcast if you're new. It means so much to me that you guys take some time to spend it with me. It really makes me happy. So let's get into what I'm wearing. And this is a rosa shirt. So it's a button-up shirt, which you can probably see, with little wheels on it. And I believe the fabric is by Poppy Designs, which is the designer who designs fabrics especially for children. Yeah, I'm not that mature in my fabric choices, I guess. Anyway, I think fun prints are for everyone, not just for children. So this is a rosa shirt. It's a pattern by Tilly and the Buttons, and I've made two of these and a shirt dress. So this comes to waist length. I really like the length of this shirt. I don't know to what extent I will be able to show this, but it covers my butt in a convenient length of fabric, and I like that because I don't like it when you can see a bit of bare back above pants or above skirts, and especially above skirts, because then the shirt is definitely too small for me. I don't really like cropped clothes. They look amazing on others, but I just don't feel comfortable when I'm wearing them. So that's what I'm wearing today. So let's get into what I've been doing this week. So I think last week I had already finished my Name socks by Hunter Hammerson. So this week I cast on a new pair of socks because that's what I do. And you may guess what yarn I used for it. Yes, it is my self-striping yarn, and the first sock is completed. I decided to try and make the pattern continue past the heel, so I had to cut out a bit of black and pink here when I was finished with the heel. So I knit my socks toe up, so I started right at the change from grey to black. Now it looks maybe like there's a bit of a black spot on the yarn end here. That's just because I started the slip knot at exactly that point, and then I pulled out the slip knot later after my winding cast on, I believe it is. So finished sock number 1, and number 2 has seen a decent bit of progress as well. It's not exactly matching up. I believe this sock maybe 1 or 2 rows shorter than the other sock, but that's probably then because my tension was a little bit looser on this one, and I've turned the heel. I don't know to what extent you will be able to see that because of the way the needles are poking through, but yeah, the heel is finished, and I have just started the first pink stripe above the heel. So yeah, I'm quite happy with that. It's a good progress. Yeah, and what more can I say about this? This is my own vanilla sock pattern, although in the pattern I think I describe a bit for like a tiny heel flap and gusset style place for if you have a higher instep. Now I just don't have a high instep. I use that a lot for my boyfriends, but I don't use that a lot for myself. By the way, I have changed my store name on Ravelry to be Knitting Teaspoon Designs instead of Little Anna Designs. Little Anna is a very old nickname of mine, but I thought it would be easier if I go across the boards to Knitting Teaspoon. I've not changed my own username, partially because I don't know how to do that, if it's even possible, but I also kind of like that being me, and the designer part, it's more of what I do with it. I don't, it's strange, but Lady 12 still means me to me. So yeah, anyway, so that's it for my project about these socks with my own self-striping yarn. And speaking of self-striping yarn, I made a visit to Spinspool this week, and they are a lovely company that deal in a lot of spinning and weaving materials in the Netherlands. Wonderful shop. I love it. And they had a warping mill, or actually they did not have a warping mill, but they could order me a warping mill. So that has arrived at their place already, but it's not yet been shipped to me, or maybe it has been shipped by now, I don't know, but it will find its way to my house very, very soon. So I'm really, really excited about that, and I will be able to start dyeing some more self-striping, and I'm so thrilled about that. So yeah, that's definitely going to happen in the probably very near future, so that's very exciting. Then there has been another project that I've been giving some love this week, and it's my crochet blanket. It's back, or kind of, because I've only done 2 rows on my Sophie's Universe Cal 2050 blanket. 15, that would be odd if there's a Cal that I've already done that's due in 2050. Anyway, so I've completed the last 2 rounds on it. That is the last 2 that I've worked on, not the last 2 of the entire blanket, because I still have a long way to go. I believe I just completed round 63 out of 100 and something. So I'm a long ways from finished. But it was a very interesting set of rounds, I must say, because I got to learn how to do the puff stitch here in this kind of flowery thing. Probably not the most floral colors for it, but I still like it. And there's also some kind of cable stitch, and until yesterday when I tried this, I didn't even know that crochet also had cable stitches, so it's not really a surprise to me, but I just never heard of it before. So yeah, it's growing, and there's a lot of more interesting stitches, so I like that. I feel like I'm learning new things every time when I'm working on this blanket. The reason that the first color here is this gray and blue yarn, it's this yarn here, it's by Scheepjes, and I think it's Invicta color, is because I have a sock for my boyfriend that I knit out of this yarn, and it has a hole in it, and I needed to get a bit, like both ends of this skein were like completely the wrong color for the part of the sock that has the hole in it. So I thought, if I just crochet 1 round with the remainder of this sock yarn, then I will get closer to a point that I can use to darn the hole. Did I darn the hole? No, I didn't, because I don't like doing that. I think I have a pile of like 3-4 pairs of socks that definitely desperately need repairs before they can be worn again. But you guys, it's just not my favorite thing. I would rather knit a whole new pair of socks, which probably is ridiculous because it's so much less work to just fix 1 sock, and that means you get to enjoy it a bit better. But I'm not really impressed by this yarn, actually, because I think my boyfriend has only worn those socks like once or twice before they had a hole in it. So yeah, I'm not sure if that's yarn or maybe just a moth came to it or something, but I haven't seen moths that eat wool in my house, so yeah, I'm inclined to think that this is maybe just not the best type of yarn for socks, which is a bit unfortunate, but then again I only had 1 skein of it, so it's fine. So then there is another knitting project, and this one, well, I usually don't start a 2nd pair of socks when I'm not done with the first, so surprise surprise, it's another pair of socks that's on a needle. And yeah, I'm still just in a toe, and I started this Thursday evening at my local knit group, and the reason that I started this is actually I was planning on knitting all my fishy socks there, but about an hour before I went to my local knitting group, I got the news that a cousin of mine passed away, and yeah, was just 30 years old, and we had known for a long time that she was suffering from breast cancer, and that she wasn't going to survive it, but still, it's been hard on me. We used to play a lot when we were younger, and it's like all those memories from those old days, they just come back, and I needed the comfort of friends, and I needed something to do with my hands, but my brain wasn't really thinking. So initially I was just trying to wind this skein into a ball. This is a skein that I dyed myself. Yeah. But it's just been a very rough week in that sense, I guess. There's been some more emotional news that I will get into later. But yeah, a death in the family, I guess, is never a fun thing. And next week will be packed with all funeral kind of type activities, so I'm not sure how productive next week will be, but yeah, we'll make the best of it. And to be honest, my cousin has been suffering so badly that I'm kind of glad that she doesn't have to suffer no more. In that sense, I'm kind of glad that there's an end to her suffering, that she's now, that she can now finally rest in peace, you know. But it just brings back all the memories of the past, of the good times that we had, and yeah, it's just been a little bit of a hard week. So I'm back after a little break. I hope you guys understand. So this project, yeah, it's yarn that I dyed myself and just wound into a ball. And yeah, I'm kind of looking for a nice pattern to put on this sock, actually, because I feel like it's such a nice tonal color. The color itself, I feel is beautiful. I think this is like a chocolate brown, and you know, I love chocolate, so yeah, I kind of thought a nice pattern, like a texture pattern, would show nicely on this sock. So I'm going to have a flick through the Silk Road Socks book and some other sock pattern books actually that I have. But if you have any recommendations for a nice texture sock pattern, then please let me know, because you know, I'm only at a toe, so basically I can still make this into any sock. So if you have any suggestions, then please let me know. So the reason that I was also winding on this bit of sock yarn is a nice bridge to my next project, by the way, is that I had this yarn with me, and I don't usually bring my own hand-dyed yarn to a knitting shop because I feel like it's a bit, well, it's not very neat to like show off all the things that you purchase elsewhere in a shop. But like if you've completed a garment with yarn that's not from a knitting shop, way to go, go ahead. But I'm part of that club and I want to support that club, and it's just not something that I like to do a lot, just to bring my own stuff. But I happen to be bringing a few skeins of my own hand-dyed yarn there because a friend of mine was so nice to drive me to Spinspool this week. She is also from the local knit group, so she said that I could also pay for the fuel cost in terms of yarn, so I did. So I sent her a photo first to let her pick out the color, but it wasn't a very nice photo because it was dark and was just a regular light lids and taken with my phone, so it was suboptimal I think in terms of color representation. So she picked a color, but I thought, well, if she doesn't really like this color, I will bring a few similar colors, and this one was one that I happened to bring along as well. So I gave her another color, and and I happened to have another skein that I could wind on, and it was a very nice and brainless thing to do while my brain was kind of zoning out on Thursday evening. So, and that's a nice bridge to the next project, because on Wednesday I went to Spinspill, and yeah, apart from the warping mill, I made another big purchase there. So I also purchased some fiber to spin with, but I will get to that when I finally get around to working with it. But the thing that I do want to share with you is something that I have been working with as well, and it is a weaving loom. So yeah, I don't know to what extent you will be able to see the full thing here, but yeah, you can see that I have purchased a weaving loom. It's 60 centimeters wide, that is, I think, from here to here-ish, and yeah, it's a rigid Heddle loom, and I've been weaving a bit on it, so I don't know if you can see that, but here, you guys, there's the bit that I've woven so far, and I know it's not perfect, it's far from perfect, but then again, it's my first project on this device, so I'm quite happy with an imperfect project so far. And I completely underestimated the amount of yarn that I would need to warp this thing, so just in warping my pink and white yarns kind of ran out, so from halfway in this white stripe I already started using another white that I had in my stash. It's all cotton, so I don't think you can see it too much that it's a different cotton, or at least not in the woven bit. In the warp bit here I can see it a little bit, but then again, I don't really care, it's just a practice piece. And so I thought, let's continue with the red, because that kind of goes with the pink, and then the red was also almost ran out almost immediately, which is nice, because you know, I have so much cotton in my stash that I hardly ever touch, and now I'm using a lot of it in just one practice piece, so that's a good thing to some extent, I guess. And yeah, it's really fun to work with, and I think I'm getting a bit of the hang of it, not all, and I'm really curious what it's like if you do this with wool, because now I'm using cotton, and as we crafters know, wool and cotton have very different properties, like the amount of stretch in it, it's a lot of a difference. So I'm really curious what happens if I do this with wool. Also, I think cotton is less likely to bloom like wool will, so there's a lot of tiny holes between the woven bits, and I'm not sure if that's going to fill out because it's cotton and I have not like pressed it very tightly together, and I think wool might fill in those gaps a little bit better, but I'm not really sure, but I'm really curious to see how this goes. I'm also quite sure that my table or that my warp was a bit longer than it needed to be, but you know, it's fine, it's just practice, so we learn from our mistakes, I guess. So let's hope that I do too. Let's get that a little bit more out of the way. So the weaving loom that I purchased is an Ashford rigid Heddle loom, so I think that's their cheapest line of rigid Heddle looms. They have a foldable one which was a lot more expensive, and the only extra functionality was that you can fold it up and bring it somewhere, and I was like, I'm not really likely to go and bring around a weaving loom anyway, and I was quite concerned about the width. So I've now purchased one that is 60 centimeters or 24 inches wide, and I feel like a lot of the fabrics that I weave, I will probably want them to be able to be big, wider than that. And especially if I come to a point at which I want to weave fabrics, maybe to make clothes or so other things with it. I want to have wider fabric because most patterns that I use are meant for wider fabrics. But then I learned that this rigid heddle actually has a possibility to put in two heddles behind each other, and that way you can kind of make a wider fabric in one go, and I'm completely unsure about how that would work, but it seems like a fun thing that I will try in future. For now, I don't even have two looms, or like I only have two rigid heddles, and one was the one that came with the loom by default, and I have one that is a little bit finer, and I think I may go for an even finer loom in the future. But yeah, I kind of just wanted to try and see this first, how it goes with one rigid heddle before I dive into trying to make double wide fabrics, because that would be even more insane in terms of setting up and stash busting. But you know, it could be a very good stash buster, so that's not bad in itself, I guess. So then there's one more tiny project. So last week, after I podcasted, my boyfriend had some friends over, and I was just finished with my knitting project, and I didn't really feel like starting something new at that moment. So I just picked up my spinning wheel and I started spinning, and I had a tiny bit of yarn from Golden Fleece Studios. So they that's a Dutch Etsy store, and they have given me a tiny bit of fiber. So this is probably like 5 or 10 grams maybe to play around with, like a little bit of an extra with my last order. So that's been a while ago. So I purchased fiber to spin sock yarn with, and I've already knit socks out of that hand spun yarn, and I have some golden brown and white-ish yarn that I want to make a hat out of, and I washed that actually finally this week. So I finally finished that yarn. And at the same time I finished this one and the yak that I've been spinning last week. So I have a lot of fiber that's ready to be knit with, and I'm not really sure what I could make with this tiny amount of yarn, but you know, it doesn't really matter. I love it anyway. Maybe it could be something like a bird of happiness or something tiny. I could use a little bit extra happiness this week. Anyway, there's one more announcement that I wanted to make this week, and this is kind of a big announcement, and I think it's quite an enjoyable thing, and that is that I will be reopening my Etsy store this week. So before my surgery in April, I closed my Etsy store, I just put it on holiday mode, and I have been doing some budgeting and everything. So I have recalculated how expensive my bags will be, the ones that are already in the shop, and I think I'm going to lower the price on those, and I will also enter more drawstring bags that I've made recently into the shop, and I will be entering a lot of my hand-dyed yarn, because I have a growing stash of hand-dyed yarn in a lot of fun and bright colors, but I just can't see myself ever using it all. So I thought I just want to share that. So I will open my store on 7 p.m. on Sunday. So that will be tomorrow, because today is a Saturday. And that's the 23rd of June. And you will see what's in the store by then. So I hope I will be able to finish taking all the pictures, but I've printed all the labels for the yarn, and I just need to cut them out, and put them around yarn. I've skeined it up. So there's going to be a lot of yarn entering the shop. It's not going to be self-striping yet because I've only dyed this one skein so far, but it's a lot of colors. For instance, the chocolate brown one, but I've shown a few colors in the past before, and I will get a sample of what I have for you right now. These are the colors that are going into the shop tomorrow. I have 4 more colors that will enter the shop possibly tomorrow, but I'm not quite sure. 2 of them are still drying, so I'm not sure if I can manage to get them ready before tomorrow's update. 2 of them I just need to wind on and into skeins. So there's 2 lighter versions of this color coming, so that's going to be kind of a fade, and there's an even brighter orange than I have here, and I think I missed the bright orange that is in the selection bit, so it's even brighter than this one. There's 2 brighter oranges, and there's going to be a red. I finally managed to dye some red, but it's still drying, so I can't show you yet, but I'm really pleased with the color, and yeah, I'm dying to show you, but if you want to see it tomorrow in the Etsy shop update will be your chance. So I think that's everything that I have to share with you, but it's so exciting. Yeah, I'm really excited about this. So thank you guys so much for joining me this week. I hope you guys have a lovely week, and I hope to see you again next week. So